Hello everyone, I am Aniket Dattatreya Takle. Today I am telling about blood and blood disorders. So let's start. All are you know that blood is one of the most important components of life. Almost any animal that possesses a circulatory system has blood from an evolutionary perspective. Blood was speculated to have risen from a type of cell that was responsible for phagocytosis and nutrition. Billions of years later, blood and the circulatory system have drastically helped the evolution of more complex life forms. When study blood, one question is arise in your mind: what is blood? Blood is nothing but it is a fluid connective tissue that consists of plasma, blood cells, and platelets. It circulates throughout our body, delivering oxygen and nutrients to various cells and tissues. It makes up almost or about 8% of our body weight. An average adult possesses around 5 to 6 liters of blood. So next we are discuss types of blood cells. In that types of blood cells, we have seen blood consists of cells known as formed elements of blood. These cells have their own functions and roles to play in the body. The body cells which circulate all around the body, red blood cells is also known as erythrocytes, and white blood cells is also known as leukocytes. In red blood cells or RBCs, in that RBCs are biconcave cells without nucleus in humans, also known as erythrocytes. RBCs contains the iron-rich protein called as hemoglobin that give blood its red color. In that, RBCs are the most copious blood cells produced in bone marrows. Their main function is to transport oxygen from and to various tissues and organs. In that second, white blood cells, in that leukocytes are colorless blood cells. They are colorless because it is devoid of hemoglobin. They are further classified as granulocytes and agranulocytes. WBCs mainly contribute to immunity and defense mechanism. Then we are discuss about types of white blood cells. In that, there are five different types of white blood cells and are classified mainly based on the presence and absence of granules. They are divided into two types. First one is granulocytes and second one is agranulocytes. In that, granulocytes, they are leukocytes with the presence of granules in their cytoplasm. The granulated cells include eosinophils, basophils, and neutrophils. In eosinophils, they are the cells of leukocytes which are present in the human system. It also in that these cells are responsible for combating infections in parasites of vertebrates and for controlling mechanisms associated with allergy and asthma. In that also eosinophil cells are small granulocytes which are produced in the bone marrow and makes 2 to 3% of whole WBCs. These cells are present in high concentrations in the digestive tract. Second one is basophils. Basophils are the least common of the granulocytes, ranging from 0.5 to 1% of WBCs. In that, they contain large cytoplasmic granules which play a vital role in mounting a non-specific immune response to pathogens and allergic reactions by releasing histamine and dilating the blood vessels or dilate it. In that also, these white blood cells have the ability to be stained when exposed to basic dyes, hence referred to as basophil. In that also, these cells are best known for their role in asthma and their result in inflammation and bronchoconstriction in the airways. It also they secrete serotonin, histamine, and heparin. Third one is neutrophils. Neutrophils are normally found in the bloodstream. They are predominant cells which are present in pus. Around 60 to 65% of WBCs are neutrophils with a diameter of 10 to 12 micrometers. In that, the nucleus is 2 to 5 lobed and the cytoplasm has very fine granules. In that, neutrophils helps in the destruction of bacteria with lysosomes and it acts as a strong oxidant. In that also, neutrophils are stained only using neutral dyes, hence they are called so. In that, neutrophils are also the first cells of the immune system to respond to an invader such as a bacteria or a virus. In that, neutrophils, the lifespan of these WBCs extends for up to 8 years and it produced every day in the bone marrow. Second type is agranulocytes. In that, they are the leukocytes with the absence of granules in their cytoplasm. Agranulocytes are further classified into two monocytes and lymphocytes. In monocytes, these cells usually have a large bilobe nucleus with a diameter of 12 to 20 micrometers. In that, the nucleus is generally half moon shaped or kidney shaped and it occupies 6 to 8% of WBCs. In that, monocytes are also known as garbage trucks of the immune system. And that also, the most important functions of monocytes are to migrate into tissues and clean up dead cells, protect against blood-borne pathogens, and move very quickly to the sites of infections in the tissues. That also, these white blood cells have a single bean-shaped nucleus, hence referred to as a monocytes. Second one is lymphocytes. In that, they play a vital role in producing antibodies. Their size ranges from 8 to 10 micrometers. That also, they are commonly known as a natural killer cells. And that also, they play an important role in body defense. These white blood cells are colorless cells found in lymphoid tissue, hence referred as a lymphocytes. In that lymphocytes, there are two main types of lymphocytes. First one is B lymphocytes and second one is T lymphocytes. Here also, these cells are very important in the immune system and are responsible for humoral and cell mediated immunity. Third one is platelets, it also known as thrombocytes. In that, thrombocytes are specialized blood cells produced from bone marrow. In that, platelets come into play when there is bleeding or hemorrhage. In that also, they help in clotting and coagulation of blood. Platelets help in coagulation during a cut or wound. Then we are discuss about component of blood. In that component of blood, there are mainly cellular structures in the composition of blood. When a sample of blood is spun in a centrifuge machine, they separate into the following constituents like plasma, buffy coat, and erythrocytes. Those blood contains RBCs, WBCs, platelets, and plasma. Then we have discussed about plasma. Then plasma is nothing but the liquid state blood can be contributed to plasma as it makes up about 55% of blood. It is pale yellow in color and when separated, blood plasma consists of salts, nutrients, water, and enzymes. Blood plasma also contains important proteins and other components necessary for our overall health. Hence, blood plasma transfusions are given to patients with liver failure and life-threatening injuries. Then, compounds of blood plasmas are several compounds like proteins in blood plasma. There are three proteins are present. First one is serum globulin, second one is serum albumin, and third one is fibrinogen. The serum contains only globulin and albumin. Fibrinogen is absent in serum because it is converted into fibrin during blood clotting. Red blood cells is also known as RBCs. Red blood cells consist of hemoglobin, a protein. They are produced by the bone marrow to primarily carry oxygen to the body and carbon dioxide away from it. Then next one is white blood cells. It is also called as WBCs. White blood cells are responsible for fighting foreign pathogens such as bacteria, viruses, and fungi that enter our body. They circulate throughout our body and originate from the bone marrow. Then third one is platelets. Platelets is nothing but the tiny disc shaped cells that help regulate blood flow when any part of the body is damaged, thereby aiding in fast recovery through clotting of blood. The above stated elements from the composition of blood in humans, the only vertebrate without hemoglobin is the crocodile ice fish. Ice fish. It derives its oxygen requirement directly from the cold oxygen-rich water where it lives. Then next one is blood vessels. There are different types of blood vessels in our body, each carrying out specialized functions. Then types of blood cells, there are three types of blood vessels. First one is arteries, second one is veins, and third one is capillaries. Now that arteries are strong tubes and muscular in nature. These blood vessels carry oxygen rich blood from the heart to all the tissues of the body. Aorta is one of the main arteries that arise from the heart and branches further. Then second one is veins. Veins are elastic blood vessels which carry deoxygenated blood from all parts of the body to the heart. An exception is the umbilical and pulmonary veins. The pulmonary vein carries oxygenated blood to the heart from the lungs, and the umbilical vein carries oxygenated blood from the placenta to the fetus. Then third one is capillaries. On reaching tissues, arteries branch further into extremely thin tubes called as capillaries. Capillaries bring about the exchange of substance between blood and tissues. Then sinusoids. Sinusoids are nothing but the specialized type of wider capillaries present in bone marrow, liver, lymph nodes, spleen, and some endocrine glands. They may be continuous, discontinuous, or fenestrated. Then we are discuss about layers of blood vessels. In that, both arteries and veins consist of three layers. First one is tunica lintima, tunica media, and tunica externa. In tunica intima, it is one of the innermost and thinnest layers of arteries and veins. It comprises endothelial cells. They are in direct contact with the flow of blood. In that second layer is tunica media. It is the middle layer of an artery or vein. Tunica media is made up of smooth muscle cells. In the tunica externa, it surrounds tunica media. It is made of collagen and is also supported by the elastic lamina in arteries. Then we are discuss about functions of blood. Blood is responsible for the various functions like fluid connective tissue provides oxygen to the cells, then transport hormones and nutrients, hemostasis, then blood clotting at site of injury, transport of waste of the kidney and liver, or protection of the body against pathogen. In that fluid connective tissue, all are you know that blood is a fluid connective tissue composed of 55% plasma and 45% formed elements including WBCs, RBCs, and platelets. Since these living cells are suspended in plasma, blood is known as a fluid connective tissue and not just fluid. And second function is provides oxygen to the cells. In that, blood absorbs oxygen from the lungs and transports it to different cells of the body. The waste carbon dioxide moves from the blood to the lungs and it is exhaled. Then third function is transports hormones and nutrients. In that, the digested nutrients such as glucose, vitamins, minerals, and proteins are absorbed into the blood through the capillaries in the villi lining the small intestine. In that, the hormones secreted by the endocrine glands are also transported by the blood to different organs and tissues. Then hemostasis, hemostasis. In that, blood helps to maintain the internal body temperature by absorbing or releasing heat. Then next function is blood clotting at site of injury. In that, the platelets help in the clotting of blood at the site of injury. In that also platelets along with the fibrin form clot at the wound site. Then next function is transport of waste to the kidney and liver. In that, blood enters the kidney where it is filtered to remove nitrogenous waste out of the blood plasma. In that, the toxins from the blood are also removed by the liver. The next function is protection of the body against pathogen. In that, the white blood cells fight against infections. They multiply rapidly during infections. So let's discuss about blood disorders. There are three types of blood disorders. First one is anemia. Second one is white blood cell disorder, and third one is platelet disorders. In that first anemia, all of you know that anemia caused by the lack of iron in the blood, which is integral to the production of hemoglobin. Anemia is one of the most common blood disorders. In that anemia, there are different types of anemia, like iron deficiency anemia, chronic diseases related anemia, pernicious anemia, plastic anemia, thalassemia, sickle cell anemia. Also, in that autoimmune hemolytic anemia, it's also called as AHA. Then lymphoma, leukemia. Then in that also multiple myeloma. Then second one is platelet disorders. In that platelet disorders, to have platelet disorder means to have any of the three following conditions: not enough platelets, too many platelets, or platelets disorders are inherited. There are various types of platelets disorders, like ITP means immune thrombocytopenia, then thrombocytopenia alike. Okay, then second one is white blood cells. That white blood cell disorders happen when the white blood cells are either very high, low, or are not functioning properly, leading to reduced immunity to fight off infections. There are various types of white blood cell disorders, like lymphoma and leukemia, multiple myeloma, etc. That's are all about blood and blood disorders. Thank you.